TraderJud here, back with the crypto charting series, week number 2, where I go over the same 5 cryptocurrency pairs, the weekly, the daily, and the 4-hour time frame on each pair, starting out with Bitcoin versus the US dollar. Looking at the weekly pair, we see last week's candlestick was a bullish, almost engulfing candlestick. You can see it reacted right off of this trend line that I have drawn. A really simple chart. These black lines are Fibonacci retracement levels. You can see the 23.6, 38.2, the 50, the 61.8, which was rejected, and the 70.7, which was also rejected. So that's what we're looking at Bitcoin on the weekly. Let's go ahead and drop down to the daily time frame. We can see pretty much the same thing that we saw on the weekly. I added one trend line which we can see was broken last week. I believe that was, maybe it was, this is today, which is Wednesday, Tuesday. Yeah, so it would have broken late last week, and it has not been retested yet. Dropping down to the 4-hour chart, we can see where it was broken again. We should have all heard, those of you watching this probably follow Bitcoin news. We all heard the Bitcoin, or I should say crypto news. We all heard the Bitcoin, positive Bitcoin news last week, which stinted this huge bullish engulfing candle, which ended up breaking this trend line that's drawn. And so I've added a couple other things. This zone is based off of this doji right here. This zone is based off of this candlestick right here. And so price is currently sitting between those two zones. I also added this horizontal array because that's acting as the floor of this consolidation zone. Something that you might notice is that this is setting up to be a head and shoulders. So if this horizontal array does break, then that would be the break of the neckline for this head and shoulders. So that's something to keep an eye out on. However, if it does go bullish above this this zone that's drawn, then we're looking for it to retest previous market structure over here, and over here, and over here, as the case may be, depending on what price does. But overall, good bullish outlook for Bitcoin. I still am expecting some sort of retest, whether it be for this this daily trend line that was broken or this weekly trend line down here. Retesting either one of those is what I'm looking for with Bitcoin before I really buy into Bitcoin going bullish. But that's what I see for Bitcoin this coming week. Let me know if you've got any questions. If not, we're going to move on. Next up is going to be Ethereum versus the US dollar. On the weekly chart, you'll notice I don't have any trend lines or anything drawn. This is just a bear chart. The reason for that is because trend lines on this look messy, and really the only thing with cryptocurrency charts that I'm looking for in the weekly time frame is either major trend line breaks, which we don't have on this, or candlestick analysis, which we can see last week's candlestick was bullish engulfing. So that's a good sign for Ethereum. Let's go ahead and drop down to the daily. Added some trend lines. So we can see that last week this weekly, or this daily trend line I should say, was broken. Has not been retested yet, so we'd be waiting for a retest of either this trend line or this one on the bottom. And I also added this trend line right here, which is based off of this large wick just coming up and using these points along this line, which you can see over here, as the next connecting point. The reason why I did that is to show that we could get a possible retest on that as well, because that has not been retested yet. And so that's the only thing to be aware of if going bullish on Ethereum, or if you're going to be stockpiling Ethereum coins, that you should be aware of that trend line being broken. Once that trend line is broken, the bullish outlook on Ethereum is really good. But until that point is broken, I would probably hold off on buying Ethereum or stockpiling it. You can buy in a little bit right now, but I wouldn't stockpile it just yet. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, added a few zones and some more trend lines. as you can see. This trend line down here and this trend line right here and this trend line right here are all the same trend lines from the daily. I also added this trend line right here as well as this one right here, and then these two zones. So this zone right here, those of you that remember last week's Ethereum 4-hour chart, price had not broken out of this consolidation zone down here yet. We can see that price broke out, perfectly retested it, and then shot up, breaking the daily trend line from up above. I'm retesting that before continuing upward. That's what this is exactly what I look for with breaks and retests, is price breaking out of something and then retesting the either trend line, horizontal line, or zone that it breaks out of. And so, judging where price is right now, it's much like Bitcoin, where there's a possible head and shoulders developing. I drew this as a zone rather than drawing it as a horizontal line, but this is essentially a consolidation zone as well. And so we're waiting for price to break out of this consolidation zone, either go up and retest or go up and test this zone, which is based off of this wick and this bullish candlestick right here. Or if it breaks down below, we'll be looking for a break of this trend line and a breakout of this zone, possibly retesting both that trend line and this zone before continuing down and testing or breaking this trend line that I have drawn down here, which if it does break that, we'd be looking for a retest of this original consolidation zone that I had drawn last week, or a retest of this trend line down here. Adversely, if it goes bullish, we'd be looking for a test or a breakthrough of this zone. I do expect price to kind of jump around these two zones before going bullish even farther, in which case we'd be looking for a retest of this daily trend line, which I had said had not been retested. It hadn't been retested on the daily, but on the 4-hour it did break through, come back up, consolidate on it before continuing downward. If we get a break of that, then I'll be looking for a retest of that trend line before it continues its bullish ways. So if we do get a break above this trend line, I would be comfortable buying Ethereum for long term. But we're still a few days away, at least a few days away from that, and possibly even longer if price rejects off of that really hard. So that's just something to be aware of with Ethereum. Let me know if you've got any questions on that. If not, we will move on. Alright, Ripple is up next. Looking at Ripple's weekly chart, last week's candlestick was another bullish engulfing candle. Those of you that remember me talking about Ripple last week, I said Ripple was in a spot where it needed to go bullish. If we saw Ripple dip down any lower, then I wasn't confident in Ripple's recovery. But not long after I said that, Ripple shot up, and so we did get this bullish engulfing candle from last week. Dropping down to the daily time frame, you can see, I think Wednesday was this candlestick last week. So let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so when I recorded this last week, it was either during this candlestick or during this bullish candlestick right here. So I had said last week that we needed to see some sort of bullish momentum out of Ripple, and as soon as I said that, Ripple went bullish. So that's a positive sign for Ripple. It's still not in some place where I'm comfortable buying and holding Ripple, but it is showing that it's not dead, and so that's always a positive thing, because I was honestly more worried about Ripple than I was any other cryptocurrency as far as recovery was going, because of what the charts were showing. Ripple just went way down, way farther than I was expecting Ripple to go down. Going to the 4-hour time frame, let's go back. Let's back up. These two horizontal lines, this is based off of the top of the initial days of Ripple before cryptocurrency started taking off. So back when Ripple was just being developed, just being launched, this is what this horizontal line is. That's the high that it reached. This horizontal line is based off of this this point of failure right here, this wick right here. So yeah, and then we got this this trend line right here, which is just obviously based off of these 2 points. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame now, same two horizontal lines. Well, you can't see the other one. The other horizontal line is down below this. this zone is based off of this candlestick, and it's drawn a little bit high. It should be based off of this wick right here. I apologize for the it being slightly high, but that zone's based off of that. I've got a horizontal line right here and a horizontal line right here. As you can see, this horizontal line is based off the bottom of all of these wicks, and then adversely, this is based off of the top of this structure right here. So what we're looking for is, with Ripple, we want to see Ripple break through this zone, which you can see is retested now 3 times. We got this triple top with Ripple and this trend line, small trend line drawn. So what we're looking for is some sort of either a break of this zone, which would inadvertently break this trend line drawn as well, this daily trend line. So if we do get a break of this zone, I would expect a break of that trend line as well, some sort of retest of the zone and or the trend line before continuing upward to the market structure to the left. If it does go bearish, we'll be looking for a break and a retest of this trend line before retesting this horizontal line that's drawn. Hopefully it only retests this horizontal line before going bullish again. But if it does break down below this, we'd be looking for a retest of this horizontal line as well before continuing downward. And again, this horizontal line is based off of this point of failure, or this wick right here. So that's what we're looking at with Ripple this week. So like I said before, we did get some good bullish momentum out of Ripple, which was what we were needing. We needed some sort of bullish momentum out of Ripple because it was looking very bleak there for a while. All of this movement down it wasn't looking good for Ripple, but we finally got some movement upward, and now we're just waiting for this this zone to break, and hopefully Ripple continues its bullish momentum that we got last week. That's it for Ripple. Moving on to the next pair. Alright, Litecoin is up next. Looking at Litecoin on the weekly time frame, last week's candlestick was bullish. It was not engulfing, but it was bullish, and this week's candlestick has broken this weekly trend line that's drawn. There is also a weekly trend line down below where it prices. Dropping down to the daily time frame, we can see more clearly the break of this this weekly trend line. I've also added another trend line down below, which unfortunately you can't see. The second trend line is based off of this wick right here, going up and brushing across the bottom of these candlesticks right here. So you can more clearly see that the wick is unfortunately just outside of this frame. So, but that's what those two trend lines down below are based off of. We can see last week, the end of last week or the beginning of this past week, or this week, price has broken out of this daily, weekly trend line drawn. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see the break and the retest more clear on that trend line break. So we did have a break, a retest with that bearish candle right there before price triple bottomed ish, kind of triple bottomed, and then went bullish up into this zone. This zone is based off of these wicks and this candlestick, the bullish candlestick body. Right here, we can see that that is an effective zone because of the retest right here, the retest right here, and then price is currently retesting it right now. I've also added this horizontal line, which is based off of the top of this consolidation area. I'm also looking at this trend line being possibly broken. So essentially what we're looking for with Litecoin is either a breakout of this zone and a retest before continuing up to market structure, which is the bottom of these levels, or the tops of these levels. So the 157 or the 175 levels, or if we do get bearish momentum, we're looking for a break of this trend line, a retest, and then, like I said, some sort of either a retest of these levels, the 1, 2, 3 level, or the trend line, and hopefully it doesn't break that trend line. But if it does break that trend line, the last scenario would be bouncing off of this, which is the low point of this consolidation area. So much like the other three pairs that we've already looked at, good bullish momentum with Litecoin this past week and to start this week out with. we just need to see a continuation of it. It's got zones to break through. It's got market structure levels to break through. And so we're just waiting to see reactions of it. If you miss this move up into this zone, then I would recommend waiting for the break and the retest of this zone before going bullish or buying Litecoin. If you've already got Litecoin and you got it down here, then I would hold on to it. Unless this trend line is broken, then you could sell it back for some minimal profit, depending on where you got in at. But yeah, that's what I see with Litecoin this week. Let's go ahead and move on to Monero. And Monero is going to be our last pair this week. Looking at Monero, we have this week has been bullish already. Last week was also bullish. So Monero is looking good so far this week. Dropping down to the daily time frame, see today's candlestick is already a bullish engulfing candle. However, if you look at the horizontal line that's drawn, it is retesting current market structure right now. This point right here. I've added a couple more trend lines as well as these two horizontal lines. This horizontal line being based off of, again, this point right here, this point of failure, point of rejection, or wick, and then this down here being based on the previous low. Taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, we can see that earlier this morning there was some sort of either a large buyer came in and bought a bunch of Monero, driving the price up, or some positive news came out about Monero, causing a lot of people to go in and buy it. Either way, we saw this large spike in Monero, going from 200 up to about 235, which is a pretty large spike with Monero. That's a significant gain in price. And it looks like it shot up into this zone being drawn off of this candlestick right here, the wick to the upside and the body of that candlestick. So we'll have to wait and see if price continues to drive upward, breaking and retesting that zone before continuing upward, or if it comes down and retests this trend line that's drawn. If it does break this trend line to the downside, we would be looking for a retest of that trend line before going down, probably back down to the 160 level with Monero. If it does break above this zone, we'd be looking for a retest of the zone before continuing upward to the next zone. The next zone is based off of this candlestick right here, this bullish candlestick right here, the wick and the body of that candlestick. And if we do get a test of that or a break of that, then we have these daily / weekly trend lines up here that price has to break through. But this is a good look for Monero. Monero hadn't been doing much, honestly, the past few weeks. Not much movement with Monero, and so it's good to see some bullish movement, some strong bullish movement, because we saw this really strong bearish movement over here, then a bunch of consolidating, not much movement at all. And so it's good to see some more bullish movement coming out of Monero. But definitely something to keep an eye on. I would not buy this right now. I would wait for either a retest of this trend line and a rejection of it, and then a continuation upward, or a break and a retest of this zone, like I said, before continuing or before buying any more Monero. If you did buy down here somewhere along this level, you can hold on to it, because more than likely the retest of this trend line will not put you in the negative or leave you with a negative profit. However, if you do see a break and a retest of this trend line, I would consider selling it and waiting for a better opportunity to buy. That's just me. So that's where I'm at with Monero. Thank you guys for watching and for checking out the crypto charting series. Again, this is just episode number 2. I'll be doing this every single week. Every Wednesday this will come out. I've been considering changing the day on this to Monday, because that's when the week starts with cryptocurrency charts. The start of the week is on Mondays, and so I've been considering changing it, since right now I come in on the middle of a weekly candle, but this just fits my schedule better. It's not necessarily that I can't do it on Mondays, it just this setup fits my my life better. So let me know in the comments down below if you'd prefer this to be on Mondays, and if you do, then I will do my best to get that switched over starting in the next couple of weeks. If you don't mind it being on Wednesdays, then again, that works better for me. So just let me know if you would prefer Mondays or Wednesdays with the crypto charting series. And if you have any questions or anything, go ahead and leave a comment in the comments down below, or feel free to shoot me a message on Telegram. My Telegram contact information is in the description down below. It's at TraderJud. And that is it. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up, like this video for me, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I've got more content coming out. Continuing the indicator series, of course, Forex weekly charting series, and the crypto charting series. We've got some other stuff planned as well, so stay tuned for that. Again, thanks guys for all of your support, and enjoy the rest of your week.